It's April 14th, Thursday. We're actually Holy Thursday here at the West End Gun Club. It's just after 6 o'clock. I'm here on the upper range on the 300-yard pad. Gonna shoot some 300-yard tripod shooting because I want to play around with the new tripod that I got, the TVC-22i by Really Right Stuff. And I also got a new item for that too, so I'll show that in a few moments. But I want to do it with the centerfire because rimfire, while I can shoot off a tripod with rimfire, ideally I want to shoot off with a centerfire just so I get a better feel for the full recoil of a centerfire rifle off the tripod, see how stable it is and whatnot compared to my previous tripod, which I still have, is that Enduro carbon fiber tripod, which, as I indicated earlier, is not all that great, especially compared to the Really Right Stuff. Anyway, I wanted to get here early just to get the rounds downrange before this place gets populated, because I don't know if people show up here on the upper range on Thursdays, but I wanted to go ahead and just shoot here before it gets busy. And I wanted to get out of here at least before 10 so I can make a work call at 10 o'clock, even though I did take the day off technically, but I still wanted to make that work call today. It is Holy Thursday though. For those of you who are non-Christians or whatever, Holy Thursday is the marking of the evening or the Last Supper before Jesus Christ's crucifixion on Good Friday, which is tomorrow. This is Holy Week for Catholics, so this is nearing the end of the Lenten season, leading up to Easter this Sunday. Anyway, let me go ahead and get the rest of my gear out and we'll start shooting. From the previous vlog, you know that I acquired the Really Right Stuff SOAR TVC-22i, which is their Series 2 inverted tripod, meaning that the tripod legs are inverted in the terms that the largest section or the wider section is on the bottom, so it actually just closes in on itself, as opposed to the thickest or the widest diameter leg at the top and then smaller sections underneath as it goes down lower. Obviously it has different benefits, as I mentioned earlier, where if you can basically just hold the locking collar and move it here, adjust the legs, as opposed to unlocking the locking collar and having to hold the bottom segment. And whenever you want to, I guess, close the tripod, you don't have to, with typical tripods, you have to unlock it and then pull up. Or what I always do often on my traditional tripods is I turn it upside down and just let gravity let the inner segments fall in. But with the inverted tripods, you don't have to do that, which is really cool. I like it for speed. And if you're working in the mud or whatever too, that these locking collars will never get into the mud, because they're always going to be closer to the top of the tripod, closer to the head as opposed to the very bottom. But I let go of my BH-55 ball head, but I had the BH-55 ball head for several years. I mean, this is a great ball head. It's incredible. It's great for photography too, and you can shoot off of it. It's stout, 55 pound load capacity, but it's not ideal for shooting. It's great. It works for shooting. There's the Anvil 30, which is designed specifically for shooting by Really Right Stuff. It's a single lever adjustment, as opposed to something like this, which has pan. You have adjustments for pan, a control knob for pan, and a control knob for the ball, and also a tensioner for the ball. It adds a little bit more complexity. It's just easier to have the Anvil 30. But for this ball head, or for this tripod rather, I didn't want to get the Anvil 30. Although I might get the Anvil 30 on another tripod, which is more money, but I ended up getting this leveling head just past week. This is the TA-2U, I think? TA-2U leveling base. So it comes with it already comes, or they include a clamp, an SCLR clamp. They call it SCLR, but this is a little bit wider, or longer rather. It's, I think, a full 40 millimeters, which I think the SCLR might actually be less. Yeah, it's a little bit thinner because I have one on that bipod. Anyway, it's Picatinny and ARC compatible, so you can put PIC rail on here as well, so it's awesome for those who have PIC and don't have an ARC, or if you have another gun that you just don't have ARC on it, and obviously most guns have PIC for the 6 o'clock position, just throw it on here. But instead of running this clamp though, I can also it's threaded, it's got a threaded stud there, and you can also run the BH-55 ball head on top of the leveling base, because that's what leveling bases were designed for. Leveling bases were designed for your tripod. If you can't get in a level position with the legs or whatnot, you can adjust the the level to the gravity with at the base itself. So if this were like, for some reason you had to have the legs off camber, maybe you had it fully extended or fully closed, and it was still not level, you can then level out the base here and then set this, and then you can still have your ball head, because then you'll use your ball head for like panning or whatever, or to frame your shot in photography. It's often used in like landscape photography or whatnot, but for shooters, you typically won't put a ball head on top of a leveling base. It's just not, you don't really need, that's not going to be used ever, I don't think. Anyway, the reason why I wanted the leveling, I like the leveling base concept. It's been used for quite some time for shooters because it's pretty stout, and this one has 20 degrees of angle. That one's obviously, the ball head gives you more travel in terms of angle and incline, more than 20 degrees. But this is a little simpler, and I like this concept on the leveling base, so that's why I acquired it. And I'll just throw this through it on here. Once you clamp it in, pretty much have a good range, 20 degrees either way. So then I just lock it here with this locking thing on the base itself, the tri-lever, and I'm locked in. So anyway, I think this is a good setup right here as is, and I'm gonna try to run this for a little bit, but we'll test this out today and see how it goes. But I'm really liking this setup. This, I wanna say the tripod legs were $920, $950, $920, $920 or $950. It's their least expensive tripod legs you're gonna find on really rare stuff. And then the leveling base is $425 with the clamp. I think you can get the leveling base without the clamp, and it might save you $100, but you want the clamp. You need the clamp. So $425 plus $425 plus $920. So you're still talking just under $1,400 after taxes, shipping, or whatever you have to deal with, depending on your retailer. Anyway, enough talk. Let's get some rounds downrange. And I got to check my Kestrel to figure out what the heck my my dope is, because I don't shoot my 308 very often. Although should be 0 to 100, but we'll see. When I pulled up into the upper range this morning, I immediately went up the hill, put up a 6-inch popper target. It's spring-loaded at 300 yards, roughly 300 yards. But I can't accurately laze it from here. I've been trying to laze all around it with my Sigkila 2000, and I feel like I'm getting the back of the berm or the front of the berm, but I can't get like where that target place is at. So before the berm, I think it's like 305. After the berm's 318. So I'm gonna just cut it in half, like 310 roughly. And I need 1.26 according to the Kestrel with this 44 grain, with the 175 grain burgers with 44 grains of Varget, but that pushing roughly 2750. With this colder weather, I think right now it's about 50 degrees, 55. So it's probably pushing more like 2730 maybe. But 1.26, we'll go 1.2, see how it goes. 6-inch target, so it's 2 minutes of angle at 300 yards. I should be able to hit it, hopefully, assuming this thing's zeroed. I think it's zeroed for 100 yards. So it looks like I'm on. I missed the first shot, but I think it was likely me. Favoring right of target. Dial a 1/10 of a mil left. My zero could be a little bit off. There we go. We're good. I didn't bring my long lens with me, so I can't put my camera on target, although I could bring my GoPro out there. But rest assured, I'm actually hitting this thing. I've only missed my first shot this morning out of 7 plus 2, so 9 rounds. It's really easy. 2-minute target. There's a little bit of wobble here, but nowhere near as before. I don't have much of a twisting. I don't have any twisting motion in the legs as like well, I guess if you force it, you do. But it's really stable. Modern Day Sniper posted a video recently about how to shoot off a tripod, and they've changed it a little bit. They argue that you should probably move this a little bit out more, like this, to get less wobble, which I could do right now, but I'm in a little bit here closer to the balance point. But they also said that you shouldn't be bending over at your waist. And actually I have the tripod a little bit low, but I could adjust it a little bit more here to get a little higher. But you're supposed to not bend at the waist because you're going to create a fulcrum point and you're going to create more muscle tension on the gun. We are shooting at an incline. And I am a short guy, so I'm trying to get the stock on the pocket of my shoulder while still getting down on it. I'm trying to keep my body straight, getting my waist underneath my shoulder. And then I am still bending down because I'm shooting an incline plus, you know, height over bore. I have to get my head down. Anyway, but Modern Day Sniper had a good video, and I think I learned a little bit from it, and it is helping me a little bit. They say you're not supposed to use much force on the tripod to muscle in, which I'm not doing. I'm actually, if anything, I'm just putting my hand here as a place to put my hand, because I just need a place to put it. I don't feel like putting it down against, just let it hang. So I'm more like just resting it here. I am gripping the tripod, but not really like death gripping it. But anyway, I did like that video, and I'll link to it. It's a good video to watch on techniques, so I did learn some of it. But I'm making solid hits every time. Seems pretty centered. Although I don't have any paint on me, I kind of need to paint this target. But it's a popper, so I do have feedback. I am getting some slight ridges on the primer crater or the primer dimple. It is a sloppy bolt. It is, you know, it's a Remington 700 factory bolt. So your standard firing pin through it, large primers. I mean, it is kind of hot for Varget, I guess, 44 grains. I've gone as high as 44.6 in a Savage with no issues. But yeah, I'm liking the feel of this. It's really comfortable off this tripod. Another item I picked up recently, or relatively recently, is this tack table. Got it about a couple months ago. A tack table is just basically a term used for a platform that they put on a tripod that you can have, you know, a place to rest something, such as a rifle or your binos. You use the tack table, put a bag on here, you can rest your binos as a way to, you know, get a stable glassing platform. Or if you want to just shoot off the tripod, not have to clamp in, put the tack table, put a bag on top of that of your rifle. This is just the glorified metal plate with an ARC rail on the bottom. I got this from JC Steel for like 60 bucks, JC Steel Targets. And if you're good with a welder, you can just make this yourself for a lot cheaper. Just get some metal from a metal supply shop or just some scrap metal in your garage and get the ARC rail. You can get one off of Amazon for like 10 bucks, 20 bucks. Hopefully it's within the spec. But just weld that on and you got it. But I don't have a welder, so I just bought this from JC Steel. And I've seen some fancier tack tables that run for like 200 bucks. They look really nice, but for what I'm using right now, I don't really need that, so I just picked this up from JC Steel. Anyway, once you have your tack table set up on your tripod, all you do is just get your bag, which I'm going to use this Game Changers medium, and then drop your rifle on top of that. Although I think my bipod might interfere with this a little bit because of the Atlas hitting that. I don't have a spigot mount. We'll just go ahead and try this right now without the bipod. And if I can get my bag here, we are at an incline, so actually I need to adjust the table slightly for this incline. But anyway, you just have a nice stable platform to shoot off of. It would be normally balanced, but we're shooting up, so it's going to be a little bit back heavy. But once you get in position, pretty much I can sort of lean into it. Although I've heard mixed stories how you don't want to lean into it and just let it more kind of free recoil. I don't know if there's a good term to use. I'm not totally free recoiling it, but you don't want to put too much forward pressure on it, I guess. But we'll take a few shots off this, see how it goes. Again, I'm not gripping the rifle here. I'm just resting my hand here. Just a place to put my hand. So I feel a little bit more balanced. Personally, like my body feels balanced just having my hand here. Hit. Again, apologize, I don't have my long lens with me, so you can't see the target getting hit, but I am hitting the target. It's not hard to hit a 6-inch target 300 yards with a center fire. Pretty much going to hit this every time. Although I missed that one, so I jinxed myself. Anyway, that's the tack table. Although this bag might be a little too large for this gun. Probably could use a smaller one, which I do have my mini here. The mini might actually just be a little better with this KRG Bravo, which has a short forend. It's not a very large forend, so this might actually be better. Feels a little bit more, I think it feels a little more comfortable. I'm gonna have to grab my sunglasses in a few moments because the sun is creeping out over the ridge. But brought my 6mm Creedmoor with me today, as well as my 308. Since I'm here on the top line, might as well try put a few rounds in here. I cleaned out the muzzle brake recently. The first time I actually cleaned it out after like 600 rounds on this barrel, and it was dirty, really dirty. And I had it soaked in C4. I know a lot of people gave me some advice, some people I know, of some mixtures, but I was reading up on what you were putting in there, and it's not exactly ideal for metal. You're not supposed to really soak it that long. So I just used C4 carbon cleaner, and actually that worked pretty well. You just soak it, I put it in a beaker, a glass beaker, overnight, and then I used a Q-tip to clean it out, then kept re-soaking it, and eventually I got it all out. And it's really clean. But anyway, that being said, I'm gonna put a few rounds in this. I do clean my centerfire guns all the time. I clean them religiously. Like after you put a few rounds in, I just don't like to put away a centerfire gun with crud in the bore. I don't clean out the copper, but I do clean out the carbon fouling, right? And I just like to do that because carbon fouling attracts moisture. Moisture causes rust. You know, that'll cause pitting. You don't want that to happen. Granted, a gun like this Barrel 6 Creedmoor, it's gonna burn out quickly by the time you damage the gun through cleaning or whatnot. You're gonna need a new barrel anyway. So I don't know. People are very particular about cleaning and how often they do it and whether or not it damages their gun. But I've always cleaned my guns after every match. Back when I was shooting service rifle, cleaned it every time after a match. That's just the way it was. Anyway, let me double check my dope and we'll put a few rounds through this thing. Missed the first shot high and to the right for some reason. The other two shots were on. It was a clean cold bore. And I know in this gun, the clean cold bore shot is a good 80 feet per second slower. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. Four or five shots, 4 hits. First one, high right. I'm pretty sure this should be shooting 30-100, 30-90 with the Berger 105 hybrids, which apparently the hybrid targets, the 105 hybrid targets, like are impossible to get right now, the 6mm. And I think also the 140-6.5, which is, I don't really shoot those though. I have a bunch of those, but I prefer, in the 6.5, I prefer the Berger 130 OTMs. I like speed over bullet weight if I can. That's just me. A little bit flatter, heavier does do better in the wind, but I don't know. I'm looking for me misjudging distance. That's what I want to key on. So anyway, let me go and load a few more in the mag and take a little break here. Pretty much done shooting, but before we pack up everything, I just wanted to profile the guns I shot today, which were 2 rifles. So first off, this is my Remington 700 police model. It's just the factory barreled action, 26-inch barrel, 1 in 12 twist. The most you can shoot in this is a 175. You really can't do anything beyond that with a 1 in 12 twist. With this barrel length. If you were doing 1 in 12 with a 24, you probably couldn't do 175s. It just wouldn't be able to spin it fast enough. And with enough velocity to keep it stable, especially at at 1,000 yards. You won't be able to make it. Ideally, you'll want like a 1 in 11, I think. What's popular now with a 308? I think they do 1 11 and a halves, 1 10 and a halves, 308s. But you want to do faster 1 in 12. This is just kind of an anomaly. It's kind of a throwback. This is, I don't know when I bought this thing, late 2000s, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, Remington was trash. It's actually a pretty good gun. The park rising is excellent. No issues. The thing is smooth. It shoots okay. It holds minute of angle with the ammo, with the load I'm using. It's 44 grains of Vargate with a 175 grain Burger OTM or Bowtail Hollow Point Target, whatever you want to call it. Nothing special. I've shot at 1,000 yards at Camp Pendleton. It confirmed it holds. It doesn't what do you call it? Why can't I think of the term now? It doesn't lose stability, and it doesn't strike it at its side. And I'm so sorry, I'm going blank. I'll remember the term when I cut this video. But anyway, it doesn't. It stays stable at 1,000 yards at sea level too. And this is Camp Pendleton. 2750, I think, roughly feet per second with 44 grains of Vargate. Lapua brass, CCI BR2s. That's what I use in this gun, or my loads. It's a Trigger Tech trigger, single stage, the OG triggers. This is back when Trigger Tech was still, I think they penciled in the serial number on these things. Are like, it's kind of weird, but this is a very early model. Not subject to those recalls back in the day, but it's a really, back like when I bought this trigger, I was like telling people, hey, you got to try Trigger Tech. You got to try Trigger Tech. It had just come out, and I was telling people it's an excellent trigger. There's zero creep, and the price was really good. I think at the time it was like $100, and people didn't believe me. I was telling people, and now Trigger Tech, look where it's at now, and everyone uses Trigger Tech diamonds and stuff. But this is the original Trigger Tech standard single stage. It breaks so clean. It's not that light. I think it's probably around 3 pounds. You can't adjust it. I think you can, but anyway, it's not like a diamond. But it is so, I remember how astounded I was, how crisp and no creep whatsoever. And I'm a very particular person about any sort of creep in a trigger. I can tell it. And once I pull the trigger a couple times and I feel it, I'll know. And like, no matter how minute it may be, I know it's there, and it bugs me. But this one, their design on Trigger Tech, I knew they were gonna catch on. It's just, it just took some people to actually try it out and finally catch the bug. But anyway, Trigger Tech trigger, and I use my Vortex Razor Gen 2 on this thing right now. I don't know what I had on it before. I think I had the Razor on here before when I first built it, and then and it went through like the stock chassis, or the original stock, which I sold. It was the Hogue Precision? No, not Hogue. What am I thinking? HS Precision, Hogue Precision, HS Precision stock, which came on the police models. Then I switched it out for an AICS AT 2.0, which I didn't like. I know a lot of people like the AICS. I just didn't like it on this gun. And I don't think an AICS is actually very good on 700 actions. If you have an actual Accuracy International action with the 60-degree bolt throw, I think it's well built for that gun. But for a standard 90-degree, I don't think it feels right. It just doesn't feel right to me. Anyway, I junked it. Plus I had a problem with the hinge because it was a folding stock, and I got rid of it. I returned it, or actually Brownells, 100% satisfaction guarantee. They took it back. Amazing. Anyway, the problem with the hinge, sent it back. Then I end up getting the KRG Bravo chassis, which is what you see here, and I think this is probably the best budget-minded stock / chassis for most guns that they inlet it for. I think it's good enough at the cost at $350 or so. You can't beat it. I mean, I know gray bow is good. I've handled gray bows, and I think they're really nice, but for the cost at $350, and they make it for 1022s, they make it for CZs, they make it for 700 actions, Tikkas now, or they've always made it for Tikkas, but anyway, it's so versatile. I think it's modular enough where it feels right. You don't have to worry about bottom metal because it already comes with everything. It's AICS compatible, adjustable cheek riser, length of pull, you can adjust it. I just think it's And you can add stuff on like the ARC rail, spigot mounts if you need to. And it's versatile enough and modular enough that you can start cheap and just work your way up a little bit and still feel good about it. And I just think it's a very good all-around stock / chassis. Then KRG Bravo is good if you're just trying to keep the costs down to a minimum. At this price point, you can't beat this. Anyway, that's what I got this sitting in because I needed to find after I returned my AICS AT 2.0, I needed to find another stock, and so I settled on the KRG Bravo, and no regrets. I think it's great. And it feels good. It feels like my McMillan 85 on my Savage, but it's like polymer, not like that composite fiberglass that McMillan uses. Oh, and then I have a muzzle brake on here, the Area 419. God, I can't remember all their names now. It's not the Sidewinder, it's the other one, the Hellfire, the original one. I had the barrel threaded by the gunsmith here at the range, and he took care of them. And the 308, it recoils a little bit, but the recoil's not a big deal, like no pain or whatever. It's just return on target. And now with the muzzle brake, it's just easier with the 30 cal. I can actually shoot and stay within, keep my scope on target easily enough, and reset and spot my hits or misses or whatever. And the second gun I'll shoot today is my 6 Creedmoor, which is the Mausingfield Action, the Gen 1, I guess, if you want to call it, because he came out in another generation, which I'm concerned. There's another generation Mausingfield because they don't have the Gen 1 parts on the website. So it's like, if I break this, something goes wrong, like hopefully I can get spare parts for it or replace some parts. But it's a good action. I really like it. It's smooth, the control feed. I really do think this is a nice action. Mausingfield Action, the Bartling barrel, 24-inch. I believe it's a 1 7.5. I'm just totally spacing on the specs because I built this a while back. 24-inch varmint barrel, Bartling 5R, 1 7.5 with a Hellfire, Aero 41 and Hellfire brake. Have it on my MPABA comp chassis. This is one of the original versions, so I don't know. They've had slight modifications. I don't think it's the original version because this has the ARC dovetail milled in, so it was like maybe the 2nd or 3rd gen. I have a, whose trigger is this? The Huber trigger, I think that's what it's called. Huber triggers. It's a 2-stage. Although I've fallen out of love with it, to be honest, because I had it configured. I thought I had asked for 1-in-1, but it's not 1-in-1. Maybe it has something to do with the action too, because the action and the firing pin spring does affect your trigger pull weight, and so it's not a true 1-in-1. So I'm probably going to go ahead and replace it with a diamond trigger. Make sure this is not loaded before I pull the dry fire, because my hearing protection is like halfway out. But I think I'm going to go with a diamond trigger, replace it, and you can adjust that one. This one's non-adjustable, so we'll see if I can get that one tuned better. Originally, when I built this, it was a 99.9%, all-American gun in terms of all the parts, because I had the Razor HD AMG 624, which is US made, except for the reticle, which is German reticle. So it was like 99%. That's what I called it. But now that I put my Collis on here, which you see here is my K525i, which is originally my Voodoo, just moved it to here and sold my Vortex HD AMG. And now this has my Collis, so it's not all-American anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and just replace it with a Trigger Tech Diamond Trigger 2-stage, which is Canadian made. People don't know. Some people don't realize that Trigger Tech is Canadian, but they make great triggers. That's kind of it. And then the ARC, the American Rifle Company ARC rings. They got the M-brace now, but these are the original M10s, which I still think this is a great design. I love these. Love the scallop 12 o'clock split ring. Perfect. And if you can't see here, I have a Thunder Beast. This is the Thunder Beast Arms T-back bipod, which I got for free. I won it through the NRL 22 because they drew my name because I won a match, and then top winners get all put in the prize pool or whatever they draw. And I won a T-back suppressor certificate, which in California I can't have a suppressor, so I actually contacted Thunder Beast, and they said I can get a bipod. And I'm like, I'll go for the bipod because I've never had one of their bipods, and while you only need one bipod because you can always swap bipods, I have multiple rifles and I hate swapping stuff, so I wanted to try this out. And I haven't really messed around with it. This is literally the first time I brought it to the range, and I didn't even shoot prone today. I used it for a glorified kickstand. So I would like to put this through its paces, but another time, because today I just really want to do tripod shooting. But I have it, I took off their clamp because it came with a clamp with their Thunder Beast arms bipod, and I replaced it with my Really Right Stuff. This is their knob clamp, which is for the BT1. Is it called the BT17? Arms 17. Arms 17, I think is what it's called. That interface. It's kind of a standard that some people use. Anyway, the Atlas, I had this on my Atlas, but then I replaced it with a lever release clamp, and so this was sitting around. It's like, you know what? Let me put this on here on the Thunder Beast so I can have the Really Right Stuff clamp, which also supports pick rail. So it's a dual clamp. And anyway, that's it for this Mausingfield. Today I was shooting the 105 Burgers and Alpha Munitions brass, CCI BR4s, small rifle primers, and I don't remember how much 4350 I use. I didn't write it on the box, amazingly enough. But I do have my loads on my blog. I have a knowledge base on my blog, and you can look at my loads. I actually put my loads and also what their velocities were. I put, you know, how many shots were in the velocity, because I do tests sometimes, and I put a sample string in there and the gun it was shot in and what date, what range, so you know, like, kind of idea, and then know like what it's going to shoot like roughly in your gun, comparatively speaking. But I want to say I'm using 41 grains. It's either 41 or 42. I can't off the top of my head. I think it might be 41. It's probably 41, but it should be pushing 3090 feet per second, maybe 3100 feet per second if it's hot, like if the weather is hot, like summer. But this is a hammer. This was put together by the gunsmith. He also works here at this range. He did a great job. Really happy with this gun. It shoots well. I mean, and I know a lot of people had their guns barreled, chambered by him, and they all shoot. So no complaints at all whatsoever. Anyway, let me go ahead and get things packed up. It's almost 8:30, and I'm actually doing a lot. Or I could have probably not taken the day off if I really rushed it. I could have went home and just got back to work. But I actually do want to run some errands today, so I'll just continue with my day off and still make that one call at 10 o'clock. But let me go ahead and just pack things up, and I'm going to go grab my target out there, and we'll take a look at the target. I think I shot the paint off of it, literally. Here's a quick look at our target. This is a 6-inch diameter popper from JC Steel Targets. It's spring-loaded, so when it hits, you get that reaction there, which is pretty cool. And it's actually low cost. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I was surprised about the price. I thought it was worth it. So anyway, you can tell I just hit this thing repeatedly. The paint's all off of this thing. I put a red line here just to mark, just to give me a quick and easy way to spot the center of that target in my scope. But yeah, that's a beat up target. Basically, to summarize the range session today, just shot off this Really Right Stuff TVC-22i with the leveling base, the TA-2U. First time shooting it from a centerfire with a 308 and a 6 Creedmoor. I'm very happy with this tripod. Compared to my Enduro with the Really Right Stuff BH55 ball head, the ball head's great. It's just the legs, the tripod itself was not good, and it's not good for shooting. It's fine for photography, but Really Right Stuff, I mean, you know, you pay the premium. I mean, I bought the ball head because I needed that ball head for my photography, and it just transitioned to shooting, but I needed a set of tripods legs that were on par with Really Right Stuff, and Really Right Stuff's own tripod legs are what you should pair with your head or your system. Anyway, also got the leveling base, which I'm probably going to use. I'm going to stick to this. I didn't show it on video or anything, or I didn't even do it today, but basically it's just 3 set screws. It's 3 set screws around this Versa base, right, which what the legs attached to. And if I grab the head here, so it originally came with just the bottom portion of this, which is of the Versa head, or sorry, it originally came with this Versa plate, the base, and then anything above my hand here was the ball head. Anyway, you can see here there's like this ridge here, which is where this ring clamps around, and there's a ring inside the Versa base. And inside the Versa base, there's 3 set screws. So those 3 set screws will clamp that ring together, contract it around this insert, and that's what secures this platform here. And so the leveling head has its own indentation there, so it's built into it. So basically, if I wanted to swap, I put my ball head on top of this included insert, if I wanted to swap between the ball head and the leveling base, all I need to do is use a hex head, loosen this 3, pop this off, put this on, and I'm done. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, I can take this clamp off because there's 2 screws here, but there's also a threaded stud which you can remove or install. I can put that 3/16 threaded stud and mount my ball head on top of that, but I would never do that. There's no reason to have a leveling base and a ball head for shooting. You just don't need that. You'll need it for like things you're doing with landscape photography, but you ain't never gonna need it for shooting. So if I wanted to swap between the two, if I needed more versatility, like more adjustment and weird angles and stuff for a shooting position, I could switch to this. But granted, I mean, 99% of the time for range use and like match use, you know, if you shoot like any sort of PRS, NRL type thing, and NRL 22, maybe they'll eventually have tripods, who knows? But in those types of situations, I think this leveling base will be ideal. And again, whatever head you use to mount the gun to it, I just think the inverted legs for competition use are perfect. I know everyone gets the standard one where the legs are, you know, it's the larger segment and you drop each one underneath it, like it's underneath the top leg. Most people use that because you get more versatility, but I think when it comes to what people are doing with these tripods, there's no one perfect tripod. I think this is great for range use and comp use, but if you're doing something for hunting, then you would probably go with something like the Ascend, which is super lightweight, compact, and it can still weigh about 20 pounds. And I'm probably gonna get an Ascend for more field use. I'm gonna keep this one obviously for range use because it's also long, and I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna do a write-up on this eventually, but this is a very long tripod, and it actually, I don't have a tape measure here, but it is long and it won't, there's no bags. Really Red Stuff doesn't even make a bag that fits this. You pretty much carry this around like this. And you know, if it gets scratched, oh well, right? It's a tool at this point. But it's pretty long. I think it's 38 inches if I recall correctly. And that's not even counting whatever head you put on here. So you're talking about potentially a 40-inch tripod. And this is not, you're not gonna carry this in the field. You won't. So this is a very unique, this is a very niche, I guess, set of tripod legs, and this is probably why it doesn't. These are easier to get because if you try to get one of the other ones, like their TFCT models, with the Apex, I think is what they call it. Anyway, those with the standard 3-4 segments, those things are always sold out, and not many people want to buy this one. They just want to get the other ones, which seems more versatile because you can use it wherever, and that's true. You can use them wherever. They fold compact enough where you can backpack them. But I don't know. In my personal opinion, I would go with the TVC-22i, the inverted ones, and maybe they'll make an inverted one with a 3rd segment and it folds compacts shorter. Maybe, who knows? But I would go with this for if you're going to shoot like a lot of range and like known environment type things. Go with this one. But if you're a hunter, then I think you go Ascend. Don't even go with like the traditional, I think it's called the TFCT. I don't know what the numbers are, 33s and the 43s or the 34s, the Series 3 with 4 or 3 segments, and the anvil head. If you only need one, if you can only afford one, I guess go that route. But I think you're gonna find yourself wanting this inverted style for non-hunting, non-field use. And then you'll much appreciate the Ascend because it's so lightweight. Anyway, I'm just going down the rabbit hole, but all in all, I do like this so far. I mean, after a couple range sessions, this is great. You know, one with rimfire, one with centerfire. I was hesitant on how tall it does stand, and as short as length. But I'm a very short person, comparatively speaking, to the average person. But I think this fits me well enough, and I can deal with whatever nuances I need to deal with. This is a very stable tripod, and if you're interested, check it out. And I got it from Thermal Optics. They're out in Tennessee. They're a Really Red Stuff dealer, and if you ever try to buy stuff from Really Red Stuff, you can't even get anything because they won't even let you back order. It's just out of stock now because supply chain, they're dealing with all that crap. If you pretty much, if you want to find something and you want to be able to order it and find it in stock, you'll have to look for dealers. And right now, Thermal Optics has quite a few things from Really Red Stuff, so check them out. They're pretty legit, and I think they've been posting on Sniper Side. I looked into them a little bit to verify, but usually anybody who sells Really Red Stuff should be a good vendor because you kind of have to be in order to stock Really Red Stuff's gear. But I looked into a little bit, and I took the risk, and I ordered them from twice. I ordered the legs from them, and then I ordered the head the following week, or 2 weeks later, or the base rather. And they shipped it out and got it to me, and I recommend them for Really Red Stuff products. And I don't know about, they also sell thermal stuff, and right now I have no use for thermal optics, but check them out. I think they're a good vendor. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I don't know when I'm pretty much, I don't think I'll come, maybe I'll come to the range. For sure, fourth Sunday of the month, I believe it's April 24th, our final NRL 22 match of the 2021-22 season. There will not be an event in May, like 99% sure, because I have my surgery scheduled for the beginning of May, and so I won't even have time to prep anything if we want to do like a mock course of fire or any kind of like event such as open clinic or anything. But if I feel well enough and the doctors clear me, then I'll come out. Maybe I'll set something up, but unlikely we'll have anything in May. So May is going to be a dead month. And then we'll resume the NRL 22 matches in June when the 2022-2023 season starts. And if you're not a member, you can become a member. I highly recommend. It's only $60. I think it went down. I think it was $75 last year, but it's down to $60. I registered yesterday evening for the NRL 22 for the new season. But if you're interested in coming out to our match, definitely check it out. April 24th, Sunday. Be here before 8 for the safety brief. And then hopefully everyone, you have a good Easter, whether or not you celebrate it for the reasons why which Christians celebrate it, or if you just celebrate it for the Easter Bunny and chocolate eggs. Have a good Easter. Have a safe Easter. And I'll see you again in the next vlog. Thanks for watching.